Hey, and welcome back to the Simply Fitness Podcast. I'm John Stein, and on today's episode, I break down the 5 nutrition tips for successful fat loss. I go into detail about the 5 things that you need to be doing with your nutrition to find success in fat loss. Make sure you leave a review and let me know what you think of this episode. Hope you enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Hope you guys are having a great day. So before we dive into today's topic, which is going to be 5 nutrition tips for successful fat loss, I just want to touch a little bit about, what I've been up to and everything like that. So something I've kind of been working on recently, I've kind of found myself in a fitness rut with everything. And I decided, hey, time to buckle down, time to get on a program, created some workouts with me. Over the last, I'm on my 3rd week now of my 4-week program. Man, it feels so much better to have a program. And that is why I preach that you guys should get on a program, whatever it may be. It helps build structure for your goal. Instead of guessing around looking for the answers, you have a program, you know what you're doing. It takes out a lot of the guesswork of a program of, what actions are you taking, how much, especially with workouts. If you're coming out with your workout on a fly every week, it can be exhausting and it can be fun sometimes to do that and to just have a little bit of a, messing around in the gym or doing a funky workout with some different equipment or, sometimes what I do with rock climbing, just go into the gym and just climb with no goal in mind other than just to enjoy myself. That's okay. But if you're really looking for a goal and you're really in a rut, get yourself a program. If you guys need any help with a program, contact me. Look, my Instagram's down there, my email's down in the show notes. Send me a message. Let's talk. Let's get you on a program. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about creating your own program, or if you want me to create a program with you. Awesome. Let's get started. Let's start working on your goals. Message me. Instagram, email are the best ways, but you can also go through Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, whatever it may be. But Instagram and my email are the best ways. So let's get down to business. I am super excited about today's topic. Nutrition is probably the biggest thing when it comes to weight loss. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. You can't out-train a poor diet. So no matter how much you work out, you're probably not going to see great fat loss goals if you're still eating like crap. So let's dial in that nutrition. So what are the top 5 things that you should be doing, what you should be looking out for to see fat loss success? So let's dive into number 1. It's going to be enjoy your diet. This to me is the most important one. I've kind of put these out there in order of what I think is the most important. And enjoying your diet is number 1 for me. And the reason it is because the more you enjoy your diet, the more likely you are to sustain it long term. And that's what we're all about here, is not just seeing short-term results, which can be easy, but long-term results, which can be a lot harder. You want to sustain this goal for the long term. You don't want it for a week, a month, and keep having to go through fat loss phases for the entirety of your life. You want to lose it and keep it off for good. So enjoying your diet and having a more realistic view of your diet is going to be very important. If you hate every second that you're on your diet, you'll just end up going back to what you enjoyed before. And even if that enjoyment was causing you to gain weight, that's why you need to find ways to get in lose fat, while as well as enjoying your diet. So if you have certain foods that you just love, that you can't live without, like for me, that's pizza, cheeseburgers, like chips. If your diet can include those things, but you have to find, there's a give and take there. You shouldn't be eating pizza every day. That's not realistic in the long term. You shouldn't be having McDonald's every day. You shouldn't probably be eating out at restaurants every single day. So you have to find a diet that you enjoy and work around those things. What are your non-negotiables when it comes to your diet? Like for me, pizza Fridays. Every Friday, have pizza. That's just what we do. Make it from scratch. Always enjoy it. Always a fun time. So for me, that's a non-negotiable. So I work and plan my diet, especially for that day, specifically geared to knowing that I'm having pizza at night. And those are the things that you'll learn over time. But if you don't enjoy your diet, so if you start doing keto, go straight vegan, go on the Atkins diet, whatever of the million of fad diets there are out there, if you go on it and you just don't enjoy the diet, those results you're getting are probably not going to stay with you long term. You have to be able to incorporate foods that you enjoy while also eating the foods that are going to help you get towards your goals, which we'll talk a little bit in the next couple tips. So again, number one, enjoy your diet. Can't not stress that enough. That is number one. It kind of sets the tone for the other tips in this whole podcast. Number two is going to be you have to eat in a calorie deficit. If you want to lose weight, you want to have success with fat loss, you need to be in a calorie deficit. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If you're not eating in a calorie deficit, you are not going to see the results you're looking for. So with that said, you have to know how many calories you're eating, which goes right into tip number 3, which is track your calories. If you want to know if you're in a calorie deficit or not, you need to have some type of system. Tracking calories for most people is going to be the best way to do that. It's going to give you a better idea of how much exactly are you eating. Most of us have no idea how much food we are actually eating. We tend to underestimate, even when we're counting calories, how much food we're actually eating. So while you're tracking calories, highly suggest weighing out food. Eventually, in the long term, you can move away from counting calories exactly and move into a more intuitive way of eating, measuring things based off of, just visuals, like fist size is 6 ounces of protein, a hand is a serving of vegetable, things like that. But those are very intuitive ways of eating. And for a lot of people at the beginning, you need to know a little bit more about, okay, how much is actually a serving? Let me measure it out. So I highly suggest getting a food scale and just measuring out your food. Don't suggest doing measuring cups, things like that, because again, not as accurate as if you just weighed it out. And then you have an idea of how much exactly you're eating every single day. Getting that visual is going to help you tremendously. Just by tracking your calories, it helps you give that visual of, man, that is how much I'm eating. So that's if you haven't tracked calories before, way to start with that is to just track what you're eating right now. Don't try to change anything. Don't try to focus on protein, fats, carbs, whatever it may be. Just focus in on what is your current diet. How much are you eating? You might be eating 1,800 calories. You might be eating 2,500 calories. Who knows? We don't know. That's why you got to measure it out. Also, with tracking calories, you want to make sure that you're being as on top of it as possible. What I mean is tracking everything that you're eating. So whether it's just a nibble here, a nibble there, the dressing on your salad, things like that, the stricter you are with your tracking in the beginning helps you get a better idea of where you're exactly at. And remember, we've already talked about this in the podcast tons of times, but this is a skill. Tracking calories is a skill, and it comes with time. Your first week, you might not be that great at it. The second week, you might be a little bit better. Third week, you're going to be a little bit better, and so on and so forth. So eventually, you might not need to track calories, and it'll come more intuitively. So give yourself a break and know that you're not going to be perfect at the beginning. And the goal is not to be perfect. It's to get yourself in a ballpark. So then you know for sure that you're eating in a calorie deficit. Because if you're not, again, you're not going to get results. You're not going to get the results you're looking for. So dive a little bit more into calorie deficit. How much of a deficit should you be in for fat loss? 500 calories is a good starting point. So there's tons of free calculators out there. If you need a free calculator, shoot me a message. I'm happy to help you calculate how many calories roughly your maintenance is. But from your maintenance, subtract 500 calories. So if your maintenance is 2,000 calories, around 1,500 is a good fat loss calorie deficit. That'll help you lose roughly about 1 pound to 2 pounds per week, which is really good fat loss. It's very sustainable. 500 calories isn't too big of a deficit, where if you were in something very restrictive, like 1,000 calorie deficit, which I highly do not suggest for anybody, that would be very restrictive and you lose weight faster, yes, but you're more likely to go on a binge because you'll be a lot hungrier and more built in to go for those cravings and those binges than if you were on a moderate calorie deficit where you're full, satisfied, maybe a little hungry at times, but for the most part, pretty good. So 500 calories. You can always up that a little bit if you just want to go on a little bit of a deficit. You'll get slower results, but that's okay. This isn't a race. It's a marathon. Slow it down if you want. So number 2 was eating a calorie deficit. Number 3 was track your calories. Number 4, focus on protein and veggies. When you're tracking your calories, when you're tracking your food, the 2 biggest areas after calories is going to be protein and veggies. The reason I really like to focus in on those 2 main sources is for plenty of reasons. Protein, it's going to help you stay full longer. And protein is the building block for lean body mass. So it's going to help you maintain muscle mass while you're in a calorie deficit. So when you're in a calorie deficit, your body is going to start burning fat. It's going to start burning whatever it can to keep your body sustainable. Because you're in a deficit, you're not eating as much as energy as your body needs. So your body's going to burn through your fat stores, but it's also going to burn through muscle. It's going to start breaking muscle down and use carbs as well. So that's why it's important to keep your protein high. You want to be keeping it at a good level and make sure you're getting enough. So A, you stay full, but B, you also keep that muscle mass that you have, because muscle mass is super important. It's going to help you burn. It's going to burn more calories. It's going to keep that metabolic, your maintenance calories where it is, but it's also going to help you with your whole physique, the whole skin and bones thing. You don't want to lose muscle. It's going to help you maintain your lifts in the gym. It's going to help you feel stronger and feel better. So if you're losing a lot of muscle, but not losing a lot of fat, that's not what we want here. So we want to make sure that we're maintaining good protein levels. Veggies, just like protein, they're going to help keep you full longer, which is going to help you stay on your diet, which is going to help you keep on your goal longer. Second, veggies are just overall good for you. They provide a super amount of nutrients. They are the most nutrient dense foods you will be eating. So they're going to have fiber in them. They're going to have vitamins, minerals, and a bunch of other nutrients in them that are just going to help your body run better. Because at the end of the day, what this is all about is about making you feel better. Fat loss is, you want to look better, but it's also going to help you feel better. So if you're eating the right types of foods like veggies, lean proteins, you're going to overall feel better. You're going to feel stronger. You're going to feel more mental clarity. So you want to really focus in on those two foods, proteins, veggies, super important. Yes, carbs and fat are important, but I find when you try to focus on too many things, too many moving parts, focusing on calories, then if you start hitting your calorie goal and you want to fine tune it more, go to protein. You want to fine tune it even more, go to veggies. Okay. And then you can go into fats and carbs and figure out a good balance with those. So on to tip number 5. Be flexible. There's a lot with this one, with this tip. It goes back to that first one a little bit where you can't be too restrictive and you got to enjoy your diet. Being too restrictive and not being flexible with your diet will not lead to long-term success. You're just going to go back to old habits, which got you to where you are today, which is not where you want to be because that's your goal. You're working towards that. So when you're working on a goal, you're trying to replace those habits with new habits. So being flexible within your diet is going to help keep you in this game long term, thus making those results more likely to stick with you. As well as being flexible with yourself. Some days are going to be better than others. Some days you're going to hit your protein goals. You're going to hit your calorie goals. You're going to get a lot of veggies in. And some days you're going to eat McDonald's and drink a giant thing of soda. That's okay. Like, you're going to have days like that. There's no good foods or bad foods. There's no winning or losing. This is life. There's no, at the end of the day, we're all going to the same place. This is part of the journey. Some days are just going to be better than others. And you have to accept that and be flexible with it and just jump right back on track. One bad meal does not make or break progress. One apple isn't going to make you fit and one donut's not going to make you fat. That's not how it works. You can still enjoy the foods that you love and still get the goals that you want to achieve. A third thing with being flexible is be open to new foods. You're changing your diet. So you're going to be incorporating new foods. Be flexible with them. Try new things, try new recipes, try new restaurants if you like to order out a lot. Try new things. Being open to new foods, new tastes are going to help you broaden your diet and make it even more enjoyable. So if you find yourself having, 3 staple meals, which I highly suggest having a couple staples, but don't be afraid to mix things in. If that chicken meal is getting bored, and try a new chicken recipe. There are tons out there. I have tons that I can share with you in the show notes. Got the Fat Loss Cookbook. Check that out for tons of recipes in there. And be open to trying new foods, trying different vegetables, finding which ones you like, which ones you don't like. How do you like to cook them? There are so many avenues to go with this. And it's just crazy to me that people find their diet so boring. It doesn't need to be boring. There are so many great ways to make your food so enjoyable and so delicious and so healthy for you that don't take a lot of stuff. Like, it doesn't take a lot to make the food enjoyable. You just gotta go out there and look for it and figure out a way to incorporate it into your diet. So check out the Fat Loss Cookbook. That's a great place to start. If you need more, shoot me a message. There's tons of things. Google is your friend. I find most of my recipes on there. A lot of things I like to check out. Instagram also is a great place. Follow a bunch of people on there that have great recipes and helps just give you ideas. And eventually, just like all this nutrition stuff, cooking is a skill. You'll get better at it. You'll start noticing how to incorporate things and your different recipes, stuff like that. So those are my top 5 nutrition tips for successful fat loss. So let's quickly run through them one more time so you remind yourself. Number 1, and the most important, enjoy your diet. Number 2, eat in a calorie deficit. If you're not going to get results. 3, track your calories. It's going to give you a visual look of how much you are actually eating and help you get on that calorie deficit. 4, focus on protein and veggies. These are 2 things that are going to keep you full longer and keep your body running optimally. And 5, be flexible. Allow yourself some leeway. One apple doesn't make you successful at fat loss, and one donut does not make you gain fat. Always remember that. So that's the end of this episode. Thank you guys for joining in. Make sure you leave a review on the Apple Podcast app. Give me a review. If you love this, give it 5 stars. If you didn't, give me what you think. I love your feedback. I love to hear what you guys have to say. Feel free to reach out. I answer every DM, every email that you guys send me. So if you have a question, you've asked other people and they haven't answered you, don't worry. I will give you an answer 100%. Okay. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Simply Fitness Podcast. Because you listened to this episode, I want to give you something away for free. In the show notes, I have a link to my free fat loss cookbook. This cookbook contains over 20 recipes that are specifically designed to help you lose weight. They are filled with protein, they are simple to make, and they take away that bland, boring diet food. So if you want to upgrade your diet today, go to the show notes, click on the link, and go get your free fat loss cookbook. And make sure you come back for more episodes of the Simply Fitness Podcast.